With more on hacking, cybersecurity analyst and senior fellow at the Center for Digital Government, Morgan Wright, is with me. So, Morgan, always glad to talk to you. Staying with GM, is it really that easy to hack into that OnStar, remotely start cars?
My goodness, you were just talking about drinking and everything. I think the engineers had been drinking at GM when they came up with this app, because one guy, they have billions of dollars to do research with. One guy finds this flaw. Yeah, it is that easy. And when you and I talked before, Deirdre, I said it will get worse before it gets better. What were these people thinking when you create an app? It reminds me when they had the Palm Pilots and we used to exchange business cards with the infrared beam. Some enterprising youth found out you could also unlock cars with that, and they went down a whole row of cars and just unlocked cars. We're not thinking through these vulnerabilities, and this is why the car industry is 15 years behind everybody else in terms of cybersecurity.
All right, and it's not just the car industry, right, Morgan? I mean, I was reading something earlier that says banks are being targeted, and essentially there are hackers demanding tens of thousands of dollars to avoid hacking, that basically blackmailing the banks. What can be done about that?
Well, look, this is their survey just came out where in the banking industry they're worried, they're concerned about cybersecurity's eclipse, they're worried about fraud. Yeah, so what can be done? Look, banks are they started what was called the Information Sharing Analysis Center. I was part of that effort at a company called Global Integrity. We started that back in 2000. They have been sharing information and certain types of intelligence, and they've been on the forefront of leading this sharing of information, working with the government, working with other people. So if banks are still prone to this and they're still subject to this, it means a lot of these other industries who are lagging years behind the financial services sector are prone to it. But what it means is that what can be done about it is better information sharing, better protection, and folks, think through this before you release an app that can remotely start a car. Think through testing it. So the banks are way ahead, but they still have a long ways to go as well.
So, Morgan, it's frightening enough to think that we go to the ATM and not everything that we think should be there will be there. But even sniper rifles, I mean, it seems everything is coming with these chips and can be essentially accessed by hackers.
Look, the Amish maybe had it right. The horse and buggy may be one of the few things that aren't going to be hacked here. But whether it's ATMs, yeah, the remote control, being able to remotely control the rifle scope and change where it's pointing at, being able to take control. Look, we talked too, Deirdre, about this whole thing about the vehicle hacking. We said it will get worse before it gets better. Why? Because one manufacturer tends to make the same component for many, many manufacturers, so it will get worse before it gets better. We have to just slow down a little bit. I understand people want convenience, but they're trading it at the expense of security, and they have to. I think we need to take a step back and say, whoa, let's slow down a little bit. Let's get it right. Maybe we won't get everything right, but we can do better than what we're doing right now in this industry.
So, Morgan, with this idea of giving up some security in exchange for convenience, how worried are you? I mean, you've been following this for decades, but planes, trains, automobiles, to what extent are we really making ourselves more vulnerable in this trade for quicker, easier, faster service?
We are making ourselves. This is one of my biggest areas of concern. We have taken the. We've taken the limiters off of what we're doing. We're overdriving our headlights in this area, and you will pay a price for it. Let's talk about, for example, people say, well, you can remotely start a car. What could really happen with that? OnStar can also shut down a car. If your vehicle's stolen and they find out where it's at, they can shut it down. Imagine now somebody breaks into the GM or the OnStar system and they send out a command that shuts down every single vehicle at the same time. Can you imagine the chaos that would happen? People say, well, that can't be done. These are the same people that said you couldn't hack a car in the first place. We should be asking, can it be done, and defending against that. The thing that's limiting us, Deirdre, more than anything else, is the closed-mindedness of many people in the industry who should be defending against this instead of getting defensive about it.
All right, Morgan Wright, looks like we're taking a trip to Lancaster, PA, going to go visit the Amish. Thank you so much in the meantime. Morgan Wright, cybersecurity analyst and senior fellow at the Center for Digital Government.